bit sassy, a little bit crazy, a little bit classy. We got dreams and we got goals. We're just a couple of old sassholes.
Hello.
Hi.
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 Oh my gosh. Did we say hello?
Did we?
I think so.
What's up?
Hi. Everyone, welcome to A Couple of Sassholes podcast. I'm Brooklyn Johnson.
And I'm Heather Terry.
And for all of you who don't know, this is our power hour of true crime where we talk about people doing fucked up shit for fucked up reasons or no reasons at all. It's pretty fucked up. And we say, wow, that's fucked up a lot.
We do. We do because it is.
And that's probably what our podcast should be called. Wow, that's fucked up. And I think there is a podcast out there.
I'm sure there is.
Well, I give them a round of applause for their awesome name.
Brava.
Perfect. So today we are really excited because we have a visitor.
Oh my gosh.
Yay! And it's my little Boo Bear. We've been friends forever. I feel like probably like the 7th or 8th grade, even though he said high school. So I don't know if that just means that I liked him more. I don't know. I don't know where we sit. We have Aaron Brosmer here today.
Hi, everyone. Can I just say real quick that I am so excited to be here?
We're happy you're here.
I have been counting down the moments into this, and I'm just so pumped.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited too.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than bringing someone on, and this is definitely different than anything we've done before because usually we have someone come on, they tell us a story, but we felt like we really had to utilize Aaron's brain on this one because let me tell you about Aaron. Let me just dig in a little bit.
You don't put me on the spot here.
Oh, I know. So Aaron Brosmer, he has a whole bunch of letters next to his name that I don't know what it is. LCSW, but then he tells you. He's a licensed clinical social worker who graduated from Western Kentucky University with his bachelor's and master's in social work. He works in the field of suicide prevention with our veteran population. He also has a small private practice where he provides individual, couples, and family therapy. So someone's a little fucking angel.
Right?
I try to be.
Well, it shows on this piece of paper, that's for sure. He has experience treating issues including, but not limited to, anxiety. Oh, I feel you. Depression also. Fear, peer, which is kind of there with the family conflict, self-harm, suicidal ideation, and substance abuse disorders. He also enjoys working with and helping individuals in the LGBTQ community. When working with clients, he utilizes his skills and techniques associated with cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectal behavior therapy, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in this episode, which we're excited about. He enjoys working from a strengths perspective. He understands that every person is different and will implement all those therapeutic modalities to make sure that his clients are heard. Yeah. And I'm excited to really unpack this today. He loves spending time with his family and friends, and he also is a big performer, so we can't wait to see you perform today.
Oh, well, thank you for that. That was like a wonderful introduction. I love that.
I mean, it's probably because you wrote it, and it was great.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. What a sweet baby angel face you are.
Yeah. So the reason this is going to be so different, too, for us is because we're going to unpack a story. Heather's going to start it. I'm going to finish it off, which is usually kind of our journey when we're telling stories. And we're going to get this amazing bit of knowledge that we don't really get to talk about whenever we're talking about mental health and all of the crazy things that we're going to unpack here today. But before we do that, Heather, let's do the sasshole questions, the sassy questions.
The sassy questions, if you will. So whenever we talk about some of these murderers and awful people, I usually am very intrigued about the death row meal. Mm-hmm. Because one guy, and I think about it twice a week, he got a pepperoni pizza for his last meal with hot chocolate.
Ooh.
Like that should have been, they should have sent him right to the electric chair just for that. So,
and Heather already said this joke on another episode that hasn't aired, so I can't wait for people to be like,
I'm beating that
I just heard that.
I'm beating that dead horse.
Yes.
I'm just making sure you guys know how perturbed I am about said hot chocolate with pizza. What would your death row meal be?
Oh my goodness. This might be a little basic and boring, but I'm just going to honestly say like pizza or like steak because I love steak and fries.
You can have both.
And that's okay. Yeah. Like do
all
it.
The things.
Yeah, all the things.
All the things. What? Obviously, you're interested a little bit in true crime.
Yes.
Because you're here.
Yeah.
What was the first case that you remember, like being like, about?
Which one rocked your socks?
Honestly, the one that really got to me. I don't know if you guys remember the Casey Anthony.
Oh.
story and, the mom and,
we watched everything about
that was really the first story that I remember really getting hooked on and really being invested in the, what happened and what happened to her daughter. And when she was in court and it being televised and just really, it felt like everybody in the world at that time was watching it, if that made sense.
Yeah.
And so...
including us.
Yes.
I watched every minute of those cases.
Yes. And I was just so hooked on that story. And the verdict just really honestly blew me away. It really did.
Do you think she did it?
Well, should I say that?
It's your opinion. It's our opinion. This is an opinion center.
Yeah, I really do. I think she did it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think she did it 100%. And, but ultimately, I'm also a firm believer in karma. So, not saying I want anything necessarily bad to happen to anybody, but my hope is that the truth will eventually get out there.
Agreed.
But yes, that story was the first story that really was like, wow, I'm into this.
Yeah.
And I need to know what's going on. So
yes, I agree. I was obsessed.
Yeah, same. And
I lived in Florida. Sorry, I lived in Florida at the time. And so it was like, because it was happening in our state, like sometimes whenever it's a state thing, it's like, this shit happened here. And it's like, not really, because Florida's fucking crazy all over the place. But whatever. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. Brooklyn came up with this question. So if you were going to go to jail, not that you're going to.
We hope not.
But like, what would you be charged with? Like, she says money laundering.
I am a money launderer. I'm not. I am not a money launderer. But
wish
I feel
you were.
like, right? Me too. But I feel like if I was going to get into something spicy, it's going to be washing money.
Right.
I'm going to clean that shit.
Right. Girl,
Call me Mrs. Clean.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to be going to jail, if I'm just going to keep it real, if I'm going to go to jail for something, it's probably going to be defending my friends to some degree. Like if I'm out drinking and had a few too many drinks and you're with me or somebody else and somebody gets a little mouthy or spicy, I'm going to have to, intervene.
Yeah,
so
drunken fight. Love it.
People make my mom gets on me all the time because she's like, I could see you going to jail for that.
Yeah.
And, but I would wear that with a badge of honor.
Agreed.
So I would love that.
I should change mine from that because I feel like ours would be some kind of drunken disorder. It's more likely that someone smarts off to Heather and I get in a fight than it is that someone came up to me and was like, I need you to clean these $100.
I know. I have some money. I need to move you down.
Yeah, right.
I know. Now, with both of you guys, let's go out. I want to pick a fight. Let's go.
Today?
Yeah.
Today? Sunday?
Sunday bar fight. It's fine. I'll be like, those are my friends. Don't fuck with my friends. I just go up and push.
It's just me and Aaron fist fighting random people.
I just go up and push somebody, and I'm like, well, now you have to fuck with my friends, and I'm going to stand here. So that's...
I can see that.
I'll take money laundering. I'll take the washed money, and I'll bail you guys out. So
I love it.
We have a plan. I love this.
As long as you
Let's
can bail
put
us
it in
out.
action. Yes.
I know. So are you guys ready to get into this?
Oh my God.
Please.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm ready.
I'm super pumped.
Okay, I'm ready.
I don't know. I have feelings about this, but I'm also like, there's some more, I don't know. How about we just talk about it and I'll just shut the fuck up? How's that? How about I just shut the fuck up?
That would make for a boring podcast. Like, I'm not going to talk. It's just
You're
me.
like, but really, will you shut the fuck up?
My face didn't say it yet. Give me like 30 more seconds.
Yeah.
So this is the story of Kristen H. Gilbert. I had never heard about this until you actually suggested it.
Yeah. I was trying to get some. I didn't realize the correlation was going to correlate as hard as she be correlating.
It definitely.
I didn't realize Aaron's like specialty while I incorporated this story as should we do this one or this one?
I know. I thought that you picked it on purpose.
It makes sense.
Nailed it. And you could have just taken credit and I would have had no idea.
Should have.
So the sources today, Wikipedia, Murderpedia, Oxygen.com, allthat'sinteresting.com, and then there's an episode of Snapped, season 23, episode 29.
I'm going to jump in and give my works cited so I don't have to do it whenever I start. Mine is Military Justice for All, Oxygen, True Crime, and All That's Interesting. In Wikipedia because, come on.
There's also an episode I listened to this morning of Serial Killers podcast when I was getting ready, so that's really good too. And apparently there's a book that I did not read. So,
what?
Yeah.
We never have enough time to fucking read one of the books on these. We picked these out 1 week before and we're like, do it. I was complaining about having to do my research and I was like, it's like doing a book report. Like, just understand, it's a fucking book report.
Yeah.
Every week.
Okay, Heather Gilbert. You drinking your water?
I have ice in my water, and I was like, I'm going to do it as far away from the mic, and then didn't realize I was looking like a complete douche
Because
canoe.
you stuck your hand up to the mic.
I was trying to make
funny.
the mic not hear it.
It was really
It's
funny.
fine, guys.
Okay. Kristen Heather Gilbert, her maiden name was Strickland, was born on November 13th, 1967 in Fall River, Massachusetts. Now, does that sound familiar? The city?
No, and I read your notes, and I still don't remember.
Lizzie Borden.
Ooh.
That's where Lizzie was from. Kristen was obsessed with the story when she was growing up in the 70s. She had a fairly normal childhood because I typically like to look at that. That's why I always do the first parts, because I like to look at their background and be like, is there a turning point where you're like, that person's going to do something bad? Her childhood was pretty normal. Her dad, Richard, was an electronics executive, and her mom, Claudia, was a part-time teacher, and she had 2 younger siblings, 2 sisters. When she was a teenager, they moved away from Fall River, but her Lizzie love remained. So she had developed a habit of lying constantly and even began telling people in her new town that she was a blood relative of Lizzie Borden. So, yeah.
Hang your hat on what you can, I guess.
It's a weird brag and a weird lie.
It's like, look at this random flex.
Like,
I
my
don't know.
great cousin, twice removed, did this.
MCAT.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's cool is MCAT actually is, and it is a cool flex when it's when
when it's
true.
real, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We did a story on Lizzie Borden with MCAT. If anyone's listening, or if anyone, hopefully people are listening. But anyway, MCAT's husband's related to Lizzie Borden, and there's a great episode if you guys want to listen to that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And she continued this lie all the way till when she was an adult. Since this was utter bullshit, she was a legit pathological liar and a very convincing one at that. She apparently lied about anything and everything, friends, family, what she did, her family history, all that shit. She spread rumors even, which is odd to me, about her mom being an extreme, violent alcoholic.
Why would that be surprising? Why? I'm curious why that would shock you.
I don't, well, I mean, it's not.
Attention.
Yeah.
Like, with things that I've experienced in my life, the best thing is to play a victim to something that's outside of your control. So if she is a narcissist, which I'm feeling some vibey narcissism, she probably was like, ooh, it's nice to be the victim. Might as well act like my mom is shit.
I mean, yeah. And apparently people just accepted her lies because she was super popular, one of the top students in her school. Ooh. And it's just, they would just be like, oh, it's just Kristen. She's just telling her lies again. And they just...
Oh, so they knew it was a lie?
They all knew she was a liar.
So
they
weird.
Accepted that.
They just let her go. And they were like, well, we like her, whatever.
I'm so intrigued by that.
It was odd. Her boyfriends suffered the wrath of her tenfold, though. Like, it was way worse than anybody else. She was very manipulative. She would lie to him all the time. She even got violent. I'm sure you can all guess that she took breakups rather well.
I'm sure she loved them.
Yes.
She was like, oh, that's totally fine. I wasn't that into you anyway. Just take your DVDs.
She never dumped a guy ever. They always dumped her. She'd threaten them, harass them, call them a million times, like fuck their cars up. And she even like clawed one of their faces and stuff.
Well, sign me up.
I know. Who's lining up to date her next?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it has to be really good sex. Let's unpack that. Let's take 2 fucking seconds. We can all make fucking eye contact. Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, you're not
Tell me I'm wrong, because there's no way that if you talk to John and John had just dated her and Sam's like, dude, I'm thinking about getting in with Kristen, they'd be like, the fuck? She'll punch you in the face and be like, but how'd that go?
I mean,
and he's like, dude,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
She sucks a mean dick.
Well, she has to look like she baptized the cat. Like her ex-boyfriend's face is just all clawed
That's what
up.
I'm saying. Baptize a cat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's not easy. So, despite all this nonsense, at 16 years old, she graduated early from high school in 1984. In 1985, she went into pre-med at Bridgewater State College with dreams of being a nurse. Now, apparently, whenever she flew the nest, her crazy behavior intensified.
I just have to do a quick pause.
Yes.
So to be a nurse requires like a level of empathy and love. Like, I always came out the womb knowing I wanted to be in business. Like, I just didn't have that like gene to want to learn that. And I just felt like I was without it. And I'm just so surprised that like...
That's what she picked?
That is what she picked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. Weird.
Is it weird?
It's so weird.
So her crazy behavior got way worse when she left the coop. So, for example, a date stood her up. So she stole his final exam because she broke into the professor's office, took his test, and lit it on fire.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You know, I would do the same. I mean, let's just keep it real. I would do the same.
Like, that's normal. That's normal.
I mean,
That is, I kind of want to be your friend. Because if like in me in college or whatever, if someone was like, let's do a quick B&E, we're going to steal this test, I'd be like, fuck yeah. I'm still kind of down to do a B&E if y'all want to do it. And I don't mean biscuits and eggs.
Listen,
you know what
we
I'm
already
saying?
have a full docket. Like, I'm already getting you guys arrested today for my bar fight. So,
Right.
like, let's maybe tomorrow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I swear to you, Heather, if you were like, dude, if I want to break into this, steal this paper and catch it on fire, I'd be like, and then we're going to hold a seance. Like, I'm in. I'm hopping in your backpack. I'm with you.
We've got a lot of fall plans. All of a sudden, I see an invite on my calendar that just says B&E.
And then afterwards, graveyard.
Location TBD. Another ex went to college officials and was like, look, she's gonna kill somebody or hurt someone. Like he took it so serious that he actually went there. Now, shockingly, especially for this time in the 80s, they took him seriously.
Wow.
And, yeah. Which,
Probably because it was a woman and we should all be in psych wards.
I mean, probably because it was a dude, you're right.
100%.
not-
Vice versa, that wouldn't have.
Yeah. They would have been like, well, you were probably wearing a short skirt.
I read
Yeah.
so many books about how like women were thrown into insane asylums. Like it was literally nothing. Like
Yeah.
truly nothing.
Yeah. So they took it seriously and they ordered her to have psychiatric treatment or she would have to leave school.
Good.
Yeah. Kristen, however, was like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. And that summer, she had already met a man named Glenn Gilbert in the summer of 1986, and he lived 2 hours from there. So she's like, I'm just going to transfer. So
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
So she transferred to a school close to him and began working as a home health aide in August of 1987. She began caring for a foster child with developmental disabilities with another aide. So the one aide went to care for another foster child in the house that night, and Kristen gave the little boy a bath alone, then put him to bed, and then they left. When the parents came home, they went to check on their son, and comes to find out his skin was scalded so badly.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. They specifically had put a lock on the bathtub, so the water spout, so you had to like unlock it to turn it up that hot because they had other foster
Yeah.
children in the home. And it couldn't be hot enough to even do that without doing that. So they called the Visiting Nurses Association in Franklin County and were like, never send that bitch here again, and told them, but apparently no action was taken.
I actually touch on that and didn't know. Yep. Basically, I was like, just in case, I put in there, just in case Heather didn't cover it, I put this part in there. And that was one of them, was that she had scolded very badly a mentally challenged child.
Yeah. In January of 1988, Kristen married Glenn Gilbert and graduated college later that year with her nursing degree. In March of 1989, she became a nurse at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Northampton, Massachusetts. She worked with patients in chronic care and intensive care units on Ward C there on the night shift. So she had a hard work ethic. She seemed calm on the job. She had a good bedside manner, and all of her coworkers really liked her. Like the senior nurses even were like, wow, she's really good.
Yeah, her reputation was pretty fucking spot on there for a while.
In late 1990, one of the doctors was reviewing records and randomly was like, wait a minute. Kristen called in 13 of the 18 emergencies this year that involved patient deaths. And
13 of the 18 with
13 of
a
18.
hospital running 24 hours a day, right? Mm-hmm. Just wanted to think about that.
he was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything, but
There's something going on here.
can
Yeah.
you guys not put my patients with her? That's all. He was just like, I don't want my patients with her. That's what happened.
Kind of wish
Yeah.
he would have
There's
done
a lot of times
a
where,
little bit more.
yeah.
I don't know. I come into it. I didn't go deep into your side. I went to look, obviously, as I was so annoyed that I couldn't figure out where to start because I think I'm hormonal. Anyway, sometimes it's hard to read. And whatever I got through, like I literally start at like a specific spot. So I didn't like unpack all of that. And I pretty much go right. Like where I find out is where everyone's like, someone
Do something.
fucking do something because
Yeah.
I am certain some shit is happening.
Yeah. In 1991, another person was looking at the records and saw in the past 2 years that she'd worked there, her involvement in patient deaths during her shifts was triple more than anyone else's. She had found and reported 22 people passing away, and the next nurse below her on the reporting list was 5. So, like, the number 2 person with the most reported deaths was 5, and she was 22. So,
Oh.
red flags flying
A lot of red flags.
everywhere. They took this to their boss, who basically was like, okay, well, if you want to make an official claim, you can, but that's up to you. And they were like,
God, I hate that. I hate whenever they make it hard to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Or make it feel like you have so many extra steps for you to take to do it that you're like, maybe I'm overthinking it.
I don't know if they're afraid of being sued or what. Like,
Could be.
is
Yeah.
that, I mean, because then, or retaliation from her, because obviously there's a few screws loose there. It's like, well,
Like,
or hurting their own.
Right. I think about the
careers.
most like the things where you can see crazy shit happen in a work environment. I'm like, it's not worth it. I don't want to get my name involved, and I don't feel like the retaliation.
Yeah. So, I mean, that might be it. So he was like, ignore it or make a claim. And they were like, okay, yeah, we're going to just keep going. They still openly gossiped about it, though. They gave her the nickname Angel of Death, saying she must have the worst luck of any of the nurses. But Kristen, who liked the mystique and attention, of course, loved this. So her, attention, like you were talking about her love and attention. Well, she loved the fact that people gave her a nickname and talked about her.
And then the concept of she must have the worst luck. So it must be so hard for you to be sitting in here watching so many people die.
Yeah.
Like, let's have pity that you tried to save a life and you failed.
Mm-hmm. Kristen and Glenn ended up having 2 kids, and on the outside, they looked like the American dream. Glenn made good money. She was a nurse, soccer mom, all that stuff. Behind the scenes, Glenn was just subject to Kristen still being a wild ass. One night they got into it, and she chased him around with a butcher knife, for example. So,
Cash.
sounds like a pretty, casual Sunday. In 1995, shit boiled over, and Glenn was like, all right, we probably need to get a divorce. And she was like, oh, you're not leaving me. And then she made false, suicidal claim. Like, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself and all this stuff, like manipulating her husband. And he was like, all right, for the kids, I should probably stay.
So, Aaron, what are your thoughts currently on what you've heard?
Yeah.
Well, this might be a good time for me to say, hey, guys, in my, my opinions, my thoughts are based off my clinical experience, my professional experience. I would say that, and it's also based off my training and my education. But from what I'm hearing so far is, as Heather said earlier, there's a lot of red flags going on here. Impulsiveness, history of lying, right? Manipulation. And it seemed as if in the beginning people were really believing it and people were reporting it, but she wasn't really getting away. She was getting away with it. So, it seems to me like she was really, getting off on that stuff, and she was really enjoying that. And to me, the behavior, when things like that happen, the behavior often escalates and it ends up getting worse and worse over time, But it's really, really important. I just really wish that some of these red flags would have been taken seriously a little bit earlier, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the escalation is going to, as we're going to see.
Yes.
She kept getting away with it.
She did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so her husband decides to stay. And that summer, she began openly flirting with the security guard at the hospital who worked the same shift, named James Perrault. Now, James was a young war vet who worked nights with her at all times. And get this, he was in charge of rushing in when the nurses hit the alarm for patients.
Which also shocked me. So as I come in through a portion of this, and that was like, I was like, the security guard? And I don't know why I was thinking just like, a security guard? Not like security. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess for some reason I was thinking that's like getting the janitor to run in. Like, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone that's a security guard. I'm not comparing any job or freaking cast or any level like that. But just like, why would a security guard come in?
Yeah.
If like someone's coding, what is the security guard going to do? Like make sure they don't breach the perimeter? I don't know. It just...
Yeah, I wondered the same thing a little bit too. But
like, what would he do?
I don't know.
Unless maybe because it's, and maybe Aaron, you can tell me, it's a VA clinic. Maybe the response to a code red is also going to be indicative of like a physical, like, outburst. So like maybe someone's in for a mental health issue and they will possibly like try to fight a nurse.
Maybe.
That was my
That's
only thought because it
Yeah.
was a VA clinic and there's so much PTSD. Maybe that was the reason.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you are when you present at a hospital, a lot of hospitals have procedures and policies and codes are called, and to make a long story short, sometimes people could be placed on what we call 5150. Are you guys familiar with that?
No.
It's It's where they're essentially placed on a psychiatric hold for 3 days, and they're evaluated by a psychiatrist to make sure that that individual is safe, that they're not going to hurt themselves, they're not going to hurt anyone else. Now,
makes more sense.
Yeah. Now that hold can be extended, based off either a judge's signature or a psychiatrist's recommendations. But a lot of times, if they no longer meet that criteria after, the 3 days, they leave, so.
Okay. So it makes more sense then why a security guard would be coming in this particular, but I can't imagine in like another hospital.
Right.
Just security's running in.
Right.
And what usually happens with open flirting? What do you think is happening?
Were I fucking each other? Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like, what is open flirting? I fucking, yes or no?
I came on a good day.
I was like, no, is that not it? Okay.
No, usually when they openly flirt, that means they're privately fucking. So,
I get it.
like
okay.
you right. said it a lot on the show. Like you can tell.
Yes.
Like you don't act like that if you're not boning. So.
There's so many times where it's like it's so obvious that you guys have crossed over. Like
you've seen each other naked.
100%. Private parts have been clapped.
I love the clap.
Do you?
Wonderboy Media is not only the proud producer of this glorious magic employing your ear holes right now, but they're also a big deal.
Get in touch with them today to make all of your dreams a freaking reality.
From using their bangin' ass podcast studio,
where we are right now,
to creating amazing videos and editing our content like the mystical mavericks they are.
Your podcast can go further when you have a Wonderboy.
Hit up Drew today at WBOYmedia.com.
Or text him day or night at 270.
Just kidding. Thank you.
Okay, once they started clapping, she called in triple the amount of codes than any other nurse. So she was like, I get to see my man friend, so all these things
insane.
just happen to start happening. I mean, look, if you want to see your side piece, like just meet him in the closet. Like leave the patients out of it.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing, bitch? So investigators could never prove with hard evidence that she intentionally killed the patients in her care for the past 6 years until August of 1995. Stanley Jagodowski transferred from another hospital and was recovering from a leg amputation in June of 95. By August 21st in 1995, he was doing really well, and his doctors signed off on him leaving Ward C to go into his rehab room. And at 8 p.m. that night, Stanley was settled in, stable, gotten all his meds, and everything was good. The nurses in the hallway saw Kristen enter the room. Apparently, it's not uncommon for them to a doctor just tell one nurse go give them this and not tell everybody else, so they didn't think anything of it. 1 minute later, Stanley screamed and Kristen just calmly walked out of the room. He was holding his arm and they just assumed, like I said, he'd said give him more meds. They calmed him down, but he looked scared. They said he hated needles, but he actually looked scared,
terrified,
and was holding his arm. And they calmed him down, got him good, but they had to leave to go see other patients. And then minutes later, he went into cardiac arrest and sadly died before midnight. So it goes from healthy, bitch walks in, passed away. At Kristen's house, it appeared that she was trying to make nice with Glenn. She took up a new hobby of cooking, which she normally hated. She was cooking him home-cooked dinners, and Glenn was like, all right, these suck, but I'm gonna not bitch. Yeah. He was like, these aren't good, but she's trying to save the marriage. We have kids.
I'm going to no one's asked for my opinion, but I'm going to provide one.
Please do.
So anytime, because this has happened so many times. Number one, they say that women are more likely to poison men, right? I really think the only reason that that's a statistic is because of nurses and people in the health profession who believe they can get away with poisoning someone. Because I'm not going to be over here feeding my fucking baby some antifreeze. Now, if I was a nurse, I'm going to be like, I'm going to give you a lot of insulin. It's truly there is... yes, it sure seems like, but I also believe that it's because more women are nurses, which I understand that gender classification has shifted over the last probably 15 years. But in the overall, I believe the reason people think that women are going to poison is because of women in the healthcare profession who know how to poison people. Because I'm not over here Googling it. But if I thought I could syringe in a fucking arm in the middle of the night and no one's ever going to see the little pinprick and you die in your sleep. And I'm obviously psycho.
Well, they have access to it. So.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get on the black market and get fucking shit.
I wouldn't even know how to get on the black
Anyway,
market.
I do. But I do feel like, I do know, it's very bizarre. But anyway, that's only because I knew someone who got on the black market. Dun, dun, dun. But anyway, not here nor there. I'm just saying, I feel like that statistic is driven by that. But it's also an opinion, and I don't know shit about fuck.
Now, like I said, she hadn't cooked for him like hardly ever. So he's like, all right, she's putting in effort. I'll eat these shitty dinners.
That's so dumb.
Yeah. A coworker had grown suspicious that Kristen was stealing.
She chased you with a knife. I just can't.
Yeah.
I just have to. She chased you with a fucking butcher knife, and now she wants to cook for you whenever you said you wanted to leave her, and the food tastes like shit. I don't know what else to tell people than to open your fucking eyes because you're pissing me off.
Yeah.
I'm getting annoyed.
Yeah. We don't victim blame, but there is flags. Yes.
Just pay attention.
Yeah.
You like,
yeah.
Let's all just fucking pay the fuck attention. How's
I know.
that? Pay the fuck attention.
Yes. So a coworker had grown suspicious because that Kristen was stealing nifedipine and captopril. And if these are taken together in a big amount, apparently your heart could stop beating. So there's that. Glenn's health started declining, shocker, in November of 1995 after these stupid dinners. Now, he came home on November 7th with severe muscle cramps and nausea, and then he started violently vomiting, and Kristen was at work because she worked night shift, and he called her, and he was like, hey, I need to go to the hospital. So the hospital said when he got there that his potassium was critically low and that he had an irregular heartbeat, which was weird because he was like a younger dude and in really good health. They stabilized him and released, and then Kristen was like pissed. She even her coworkers could tell that she was pissed. She said that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was telling her coworkers like, well, they didn't do it right, and the doctors didn't take a sample of his blood, and they misdiagnosed him, but they did take a blood sample because, how would they know about the potassium if they didn't know that? But she was telling people, no, they didn't do it right, and she was telling Glenn that too. She came home later that week and was like, look, Glenn, I'm a nurse. I'm going to take a sample of your blood. Like, we can just do it at the house because they fucked up, and he trusted her, and they went to the bathroom. She pulled out 2 needles, and she's like, oh, no, this clear one, this is saline, so I need to flush your vein. And he's like, well, you're a nurse. So he put the tourniquet on. She put it in there. His skin immediately turned pale, and his whole arm went numb. And then she ripped the tourniquet off and then shoved him against the wall and shoved as much into his vein as she could. He passed out, and when he woke up, he saw her putting the needles in a bag, and she was like, oh, you passed out when you saw the needle. Like, it's fine. She left him there on the floor, and she went to work.
What?
Yes. Thankfully, he survived, and the next few days, when she got home, he was like, all right, what the hell, bitch? Like, and she's like, let it go, you fainted. Like, what are you talking about?
This is why my catchphrase is I want to fucking flip a table. Because I want to flip a table right now.
Why am I questioning whether or not I ever want to get a blood draw again now?
Right.
After
If they're ever like, I need to pull blood, I don't think that they're going to need to inject me with shit and then never once pull the blood.
Yeah, no. I mean, he trusted her, and I'm sad that he did. But later that month, when her bullshit didn't work, first time ever, she's like, no, I want a fucking divorce.
Good.
Because she was pissed because it didn't work.
And now I don't think maybe she thought for 2 seconds that she couldn't get away with continuing to try.
Because he called her on her bullshit. But
apparently not enough.
I don't think I passed out if you literally shoved me against the wall and ripped the tourniquet out to flush my vein, you stupid bitch. So it took her about 9.2 seconds to start openly dating James, the security guard, and they were definitely not shy about it. Her work life was still crazy as her patient death toll was still double than anybody else's. On December 8th of 1995, 35-year-old Henry Hudon was an Air Force vet and was diagnosed schizophrenic. And he felt sick, so they admitted him to Ward C. Now, his diagnosis was sad, by the way, because he got a head injury while he was trying to break up a bar fight when he was younger.
Aww.
Yeah. But the nurses, they all knew him and liked it. Like, they all knew him because he came in quite a bit. So he was kind of a regular. He started feeling better that day until night shift change when Kristen came in. Kristen came in at 5 and he was fine. Then at 6 o'clock, his blood pressure and heart rate skyrocketed, sent him straight into cardiac arrest. Now, she called in the code and the doctors stabilized him. 45 minutes later, the same thing happened again. They saved his life again, and another hour later, guess what? The 4th time it happened, that she called in the code, the doctors couldn't save him, and he didn't have.
She did it 4 times.
4 times they had to save him, and he sadly passed away because they couldn't revive him after the 4th time. this was when the staff was like, all right, we can't turn a blind eye at all. Like, how? There's no way. There's no way that we can ignore this. We had to save somebody or try to save someone 4 times.
Unfortunately, though, the journey continues because then we also have Kenneth Cutting. He's admitted in for sepsis at the age of 41. So relatively young, still having an issue of some sort. So he comes in. Later that night, though, he's coded and he dies of cardiac arrest, which appeared to happen for no reason. Another one of those moments where, yes, like it's a cardiac arrest. It could technically come out of nowhere, but the odds of everyone having a heart attack within a short period of time at the same time as Kristen being there once more.
Yeah.
Like this all happens with a quick succession of each other. Mm-hmm. I think that her entire like journey as a nurse, this was happening the entire time. Just no one was paying attention to it. Or they were, as you had mentioned it, but they didn't, there wasn't enough for them to like put an end to it, if you will. So quickly after a 4-coded person for something that had a healthy heart, it didn't make any sense. And that continues on. So at this point, if you ask me, she is literally like putting the nail in the coffin for herself because she's so impulsive. She can't stop herself.
Yeah.
But the suspicions are like officially happening. As you already mentioned, the angel of death, because of everything that was happening on her shifts, it appears she loves being the one who gets to rush into the scene to deal with the crisis. So she got ample attention from others and once more from her boyfriend. She, at some point, or likely the entire time that she was doing this, she develops a really bad, crass attitude that is really insensitive and unsympathetic to her patient. So at some point, I don't know if it was like the entire time and she just was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and she could cover it up, but they're like, she started treating patients as if they weren't actually humans.
Oh no.
We have our final victim that comes in, and this one blasts the watermelon wide open, if you will. So Edward, I'm going to Skwira. Skwira? My apologies, Edward. I'm going to say Skwira. He's 69 years old and he's admitted for alcoholism, and somehow he dies from cardiac arrest later that night as well. Once more, there's no reason why this should have happened. Essentially, people are just miraculously having heart attacks for unrelated reasons while in the hospital. Usually, you would be like, the best place to have a heart attack is in the hospital, unless your nurse is her.
Ugh.
Now the nurses become private investigators. They're like, no, bitch, not today. They started looking for evidence. Why did this happen? So they end up finding used bottles of epinephrine. I can only assume that she was so cocky that she was throwing it away in the trash can of the room.
I bet that's like what's in EpiPens, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna assume like I can't even imagine like this patient dies and then there's 3 nurses specifically that start to like dive into this heavily, but then they start literally searching the rooms.
I hate that.
So
they even
go
had
those fucking nurses.
Yeah, they were like, all right, well, we're gonna do it.
Well, and then they start looking at the epinephrine supply, and they're realizing that obviously she was able to go in there, take as much as she had wanted. Yes, there was a log, but no one was really checking it.
Yeah.
On February 29th of 1996, the cops got a call from the VA Medical Center. 3 nurses believed that Kristen was killing their patients. Kristen had either just recently quit her job or she did so once this happened. I'm not 100% sure. One of the timelines that I read was then saying by then she had left her job. So I don't know if she realized her goose was cooked and she was like, I got to go, or what necessarily happened there. We do not want that goose.
I'm not eating anything that bitch cooked, first of all.
Her security guard, Bo, who also believed that she had done it, at this point, he is believing that she had done it, dumped her, and it appears to be time for another suicide attempt. So anytime that something goes wrong in her life, she's like, let's try to kill myself. But knowing that she also knows how to do it, and she just somehow never successfully does it.
Didn't he like take her to, like he had to take her to a public place to do it because he was like kind of freaked out? I think I read that. Like he was kind of like, I'm not doing this in private. We need to go to a public restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't read the details of like I don't know. I feel like it got weird in some of the research because it got real clinical.
Yeah.
Like, I saw that there was juicy tidbits in the previous parts of her life and that stuff. But even then, I could barely find anything on Kenneth or Edward. It was almost like they were the footnote, the asterisk at the bottom of a menu that this is the chef's favorite.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough to give more onto like who or what. They're like, literally, these guys came in at like 2 p.m. and they died that night. Like, there was nothing about it. I don't know.
They also on the Snapped episode were saying that whenever she would call in the codes, because she was calling in so many, that her behavior got real bizarre. I don't know if you talk about that or not, but like she would like fucking flirt with him over this person's
I do.
coding.
I touch.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
I jumped again. I got excited.
Well, which is totally fine. Fucking let's mention it now.
Yeah.
So what they're saying is that when he would come into the coding experience, like the patient was dying, and she would play footsie with him underneath the body. Like she would literally rub her feet.
Because that's what you do. You know,
as one does.
as one does.
Yeah.
And so as these things are happening, and he's starting to, because he realized it too, he's not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But he also, like you said, was nervous about breaking up with this crazy. She ended up getting a divorce. He knew all of these things, like what was really going on. So he does break up with her. She has a suicide attempt, and she ends up in a psychiatric ward. So during that time frame, she does have a conversation with him. And while she's talking to him, she states, I did it. You wanted to know. I killed all those guys by injection.
Whoa.
She admits to
Wow.
him. Well, then he goes to the authorities.
Good.
With this, and he's like, I don't know if she knows that he's going to go to the authorities or what, but her behavior now is escalating. It's so frenzied. She doesn't know how to handle anything. She knows things are about to happen, that things are going to be uncovered, and she freaks the fuck out. So as one does, they call it, you call in a bomb threat. What?
Yeah. Oh, God.
I don't know. She calls in a bomb threat to the VA hospital in September of 96. The patients were evacuated, and of course they realized that it is a hoax. Interesting enough, though, the cops were watching her because of everything else, and the phone number that she used was her fucking phone.
That's so dumb.
So they had traced her phone, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure *69 in the 90s would have given us the same information.
Oh,
I don't know
gosh.
how much she was really like trying to hide it, and we'll talk about it more, but it's like they realized super quickly that she was the one that did it.
Yeah.
And so she goes home, and the police obviously work to get a warrant, and it's locked and it's loaded, and they're fucking coming in there. When they go to her house, okay, the police find the jacket she had on when she placed the phone calls. She had operating directions on how to change your voice in her pocket. I really want to know what those are. Please, someone tell me what 1996 description of how to change your voice was. And then she had a fucking voice changer, which was called a talk boy.
Yeah.
When Heather texted me that today, she's like, isn't it crazy how he was caught with a talk boy? And I'm like, did your phone autocorrect? Because I took out talk boy and I put a voice changer.
No, they. So when James he was one of the ones that got the calls, and he was trying to he was recording the calls and trying to get the bomb threat, ask questions. He realized the person wasn't responding, so then they realized that she had used that and recorded it.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and one of the nurses happened to be, because he was like, it sounds so weird. Like, it has to be a recording, but how do you do that? I mean, in the 90s. And then she was like, wait, what is that thing that kid uses on Home Alone?
Right.
Yeah. Am I jumping your gun?
No.
Okay.
No.
And
that's wonderful.
they figured it out. It sounded the same from the movie. So.
And I love that movie.
It's such a good movie.
I love that movie.
It's the best movie. We should all get together and watch that movie.
Filthy animal.
And I just think it's hilarious that like she wasn't really hiding shit. She just left it in her jacket pocket. But here are my where my timeline started to like confuse me, which they probably covered in a show, and I unfortunately didn't see the show. Is she was in a psych ward. This whole thing happens. Was she able to just check herself out of the psych ward and came home? Did she do all of this from the psych ward? Like. Because it was her phone that had been tapped. What phone was she using? Because cell phones weren't really a thing then that they were tracking, and they knew it was her. There was no question that she had phoned the bomb threat, but then she came home. I have questions on that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't provide all of that information. So they also grab her computer records, her journals, and a book that had a page dog-eared on epinephrine.
So she literally wasn't hiding shit.
I don't know. I don't know. If there's like a search warrant, I'm always going to assume they're going to find everything.
Yeah.
So like just bending the page.
Right?
But who would also ever think?
I don't know.
Like it wasn't like her Google tabs were left open.
I'm also the type.
Or her cookies,
would it be Ask Jeeves back then?
Right.
I think it would be.
They said they still needed more though. Her research on the drug wasn't enough. In the meantime though, they were luckily able to fucking put her in jail for the bomb threat.
Yeah.
So they got super lucky. Like, or I don't know, super lucky, or the fact that you get 15 months for a bomb threat. And she did it to a VA hospital.
Yeah.
So probably not her best fucking.
A big no-no.
That I wrote because that's a no-no on my fucking notes. And it's like, and that's what it was. Like, I think she thought she'd get away with it, or that the result wouldn't be jail time. But they were like, oh, fuck this. She's a murderer too. So now we get to lock her up for 15 months. Now, during that time frame, she attempted suicide again to ensure that attention was consistently on her. This time is also when she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, in which they will use whatever they need to keep drawing attention to themselves. They're always the victim, and that too helps them focus on themselves. I'm starting to wonder if some people in my life are narcissists, or if they have fucking borderline personality disorder. Can you tell us more about that disorder?
Well, I always joke, that I have borderline traits, because I have a little mood swings every now and then,
Don't we all?
But but in talking about borderline personality disorder, it with individuals who struggle, and disclaimer, I'm not saying anybody out there, if you have that diagnosis, that you're going to turn into a serial killer.
Right.
No, right? But I think it's important that everyone is aware, and that you know how to manage those symptoms, because on a mental health perspective, in my opinion, it's really about learning how to manage those symptoms. And people who have borderline personality disorder often struggle with what we've talked about so far: mood swings, impulsivity, manipulation, history of risk-taking behaviors, suicide attempts, self-harming behaviors, attention-seeking behaviors. So these are all things, these are red flags, these are warning signs. And, if you are struggling with those things, speaking to a mental health professional, I think, is really the first step, because there are ways that we can help treat that and help you manage those behaviors. I may be getting ahead of myself, but there is a form of therapy called DBT. It's DBT for short, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, which I do have some training in. Fun fact, the creator of DBT was Marsha Linehan. Some of you out there may know that.
Oh, I did.
I did not. She is the creator of DBT, and she also had borderline personality disorder.
Oh, wow.
So she said, hey, I have these symptoms, and I can't be the only one who have these symptoms.
What a wonderful human.
She created this therapeutic approach that the mental health community uses to help treat people with this diagnosis. And it's very intensive. It involves like group therapy, individual therapy. You learn things like interpersonal effectiveness skills, coping strategies, emotion regulation, how to handle those mood swings, how to communicate with somebody when you don't agree with them, which I kind of struggle with myself. I'm a therapist, but I struggle with communication sometimes. But, getting mindfulness techniques, being more in tune with your emotions and things like that. So it's a really good, helpful approach to treat people with that diagnosis. However, you have to be willing.
Yeah.
You have to be
That's
willing
the number
to
one. You have to be willing. That's just, it is what it is in so many facets in life. Like, you
can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves first.
Exactly.
Yeah. I could listen to him talk all day.
I could too. And I'm also like, I wish you could be my therapist. I've thought that forever. Once he got into that arena too, I was like, man, I just wish, but I can't because
ethics. Yeah.
Stupid ethics.
I know.
Well, I know you've been friends with him since 8th grade, and he's liked you since high school. So
well, that's for another episode.
Okay, yeah. There we go.
Or maybe I just think it was because we lived too close, so we were at McGarry together, right?
Yeah.
So then you had to have kind of liked me.
I
was great until like sophomore, junior year.
Yeah.
And that's whenever we became friends, like really close. Okay. So the cups. those cups, you know,
What
the
happened?
cops.
Oh.
We're lucky to have her off the streets, but that doesn't mean they had a solid case yet. They continued the investigation, working to get enough evidence to showcase what she really fucking did. So they contacted the families of the patients who died under her care and asked to exhume the bodies.
Oh, good.
Because I was like, how do they confirm that this happened? I was very intrigued to know because epinephrine doesn't really have a way for you to test it. The bodies have already decomposed. I was very curious. The families were really happy that the situation was being investigated and they let them go for it. So some of these families were probably, I mean, it's a heart attack. So you just have to assume this horrible thing happened and you just have to like get over it and you have to like embrace the fact that I guess those fucking French fries, that fucking seed oil got the best of them or whatever the fuck. But they were like, yeah, look into it. Tell me if my dad died of a heart attack or what really happened because he seemed healthy. So the prosecution moved forward with homicide charges.
Oh,
Kristen Gilbert, she went on trial in November of 2000 for the deaths of Henry Houdon. How did you say Houdon or Hudden?
I said Houdon, but I don't know.
Houdon. Okay.
That's
Kenneth Cutting,
accent.
Edward Skira, and Stanley Jadowski. Though Massachusetts abolished capital punishment in 1984, prosecutors were allowed to seek the death penalty since the crimes occurred on federal property. Interesting little loophole that I feel like they created out of nowhere, but okay.
Well, good.
Cool. In its opening statements, the New York Times reported at the time that the prosecution said that Gilbert killed her victims in order to show off her nursing skills and impress James Perrault, who would be called in an emergency situation, as we all know. She also allegedly liked the thrill of medical emergencies. In the case of Cutting's death, they claim she killed him simply to leave her shift early and meet him for a dinner date.
Stop it. This bitch.
I also want to know who the fuck said that. Like, which nurse was on trial that knew that she wanted to get off work early, but he came in for sepsis and was like, this is fucking annoying. I'm just going to kill him.
She probably did.
I fucking believe it.
Yeah.
I fucking believe it.
She probably just said it out loud. Like, I really want to go get that crab
I wish you would just
rangoon.
die.
Why is this guy here? Bitch.
Anyway, during the trial, Kristen was described as cold, which shouldn't shock anyone. In all counts, she's a classic female serial killer. It's all about her. She's self-absorbed and was also able to play the hero and the killer. She didn't really care if patients died as long as she got the attention she craved that day. They were just books that we were going to freaking throw in the trash. Here are some items I grabbed from Wikipedia but I didn't see anywhere else. So basically, I didn't know the validity of it, but it did shine the light on some of the things about her. And you actually touched on it. Prosecutor said that she abandoned a patient undergoing cardiac arrest on November 9th, 1995, and then asked another nurse to accompany her on a check of patients. They say that she waited until her colleague independently spotted the patient's difficulty before raising an alarm. And so basically was like, I see that this person's dying, but I'm not going to say anything unless this nurse says something.
Yeah.
And then whenever the nurse went with her, the colleague was untrained and she forced the untrained colleague to use a defibrillator on the patient because she refused to use them.
Oh my God.
So basically an untrained nurse came in. So I don't even know if I can say a nurse. I don't know what the other word is, but they weren't trained. They never used a defibrillator on anyone ever. They saw that they were coding and she was like, I'm not going to use the defibrillator. You figure it out. And was trained staff to do it and wouldn't do it and forced that poor fucking person to try to shock that human back to life.
Not knowing how to even do it.
Not knowing how to use it at all.
That's
an untrained professional.
Wow.
I would fucking have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And then I would shadoobs my pants.
Oh my God. Have you ever had to do that training?
Shadoob myself?
Shit your pants training. Have you ever had that?
No.
No.
I've had the training of trying to keep it out of my pants. I haven't been trained on that.
I had to have that when I worked at another, like a public facility, and it's terrifying. Just even the thought of even having to ever
even just giving like the what's that? When you push on their chest?
The CPR?
Yeah.
Friday night.
Well, you know, fun. Quick.
She said a Friday night. I'm like, why am I pushing on chest?
Chest.
I don't know.
Is that for the late night episode?
I know. I was like, what? Weird. Gross. Anyway, Sorry. What were you saying?
But fun fact, now a lot of hospitals, if you work in hospitals, I've had the lovely opportunity to work with a lot of really skilled nurses and doctors and work in a lot of hospitals. And, all staff, really, regardless of what education or training you have to now be certified and trained in CPR to work in a hospital.
That's
you
good,
have
though.
to learn you have to know how to use that defibrillator, if I can talk today. Because
Words are really hard.
Yeah, it's really important because in an emergency situation, you don't know who you're going to encounter, and you want to make sure when you're on a hospital, campus, that the people that you're interacting with are trained.
Yeah.
So, side note.
Thank you. I was looking to see. I don't think I hit it. Okay, so real quick. Because I don't know if somehow it got deleted on accident. So whenever the cops started exhuming those bodies, what they were realizing, and I'm probably going to say it literally in like 2 fucking seconds and be annoyed that I'm saying it right now. But what they realized is that their hearts were healthy. So all the people that they had exhumed the bodies, they realized that their hearts were healthy and there was no reason that they should have had a heart attack.
So sad.
So that's how they knew, and that they had higher levels of epinephrine in their blood. And so that was the proof they did need, and they got it from exhuming those bodies. So motherfucker.
Don't we just love her? I mean, we love her.
Yeah, she was a good human.
Yeah.
Prosecutors said that Gilbert also threatened the life of at least one person verbally and physically in July of 96. I was like, beautifully explained, the who and the what and the why on my mind, but they are all a mystery, guys. I just want to give you that one little fun line and let you know that that's a mystery for us all. But she verbally and physically assaulted someone. While working as a home health aide, as I told you, or you told us, that she had deliberately scalded a mentally handicapped child with a hot bath of water, or with hot bath water, not a hot bath of water. In March of 2001, Kristen Gilbert was found guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of second-degree murder, and 2 counts of attempted murder. According to the Standard Times, opinions on her sentencing were divided among the victims' families, with some wanting to see her put to death and other content with seeing her sit in jail, which is what Kenneth Cunning's widow had said. On March 26th, after deliberating for 2 days, the jury decided to spare her life. She wouldn't die by lethal injection, by the way, which would have been a fitting end for her.
Full circle.
Right? A judge later sentenced Gilbert to 4 consecutive life sentences with no chance for parole. Law enforcement officials believe she could be responsible for killing up to 60 patients, though 350 died under her care.
That's insane.
I am certain that based on her behavior, need for attention, and ability to do this crime almost without repercussion means that it was probably the latter.
Right? That's so sad.
She, her cunt ass, had thought about appealing the decision, but dropped it once she realized that they could actually pursue the death penalty in a new trial.
So she's like, I'm going to appeal. And they're like, all right, but you gonna die probably.
You are
she's like,
gonna die.
No, I'm good.
Just kidding.
I'm good. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I take it back.
She is currently 57 years old and rotten that ass up in jail. The shittiest, as you guys know, this is the shitty story about the angel of death and her helpless patients. Now, for any needs out there, everyone, don't forget that you can always call 988, and then veterans, you can press 1, but that is the suicide hotline. So as we've talked about all of this today, we never speak lightly of suicide ever in any capacity. In this particular capacity, it was just an attempt for people to feel something for her to remain in the spotlight, for her to feel like a victim, for her to feel helpless in some capacity. But it was always the bed that she had made with a lot of syringe needles and a lot of dead patients.
Fuck her.
Yeah. And real quick, I just want to, if I don't think I've said this yet, I just want to say thank you to you both for talking about mental health, because I think we as a society, just my opinion, but I don't think we really talk about it enough,
I agree.
And I think that it's important, if people are listening, if you're struggling with mental health issues and, anxiety, depression, or even suicidal thoughts, let's take that stuff seriously. Reach out to a mental health professional, get help. Services are provided and are there for you. I know it can be really, really hard to admit when you need help. And I just really want to thank you guys so much for talking about this today, because not a lot of us do that.
So. Absolutely. And so I love that you say that too, because at one point I was in desperate need of some form of help whenever I had very, very severe suicidal ideation. And it was Heather was with me on the entire journey. I took a day off. I literally spent 8 hours trying to find a therapist that I could go to that could help me, and I never found one. So if at any time you feel like you're having struggles trying to find someone in your area, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll reach out to Erin, and we'll make sure that you have the support and the help that you need, because it is hard. And now through my journey and Heather's journey, everyone's journey, we found better avenues to find and to get in with a therapist. But it is hard, and it can be challenging whether or not you have insurance or not. So feel free to message us on our Facebook. You can check us out at coupleofsassholes.com. You can message us through that. We'll reach out to Erin, and we'll make sure to help you, whether it's in our area or outside of our area.
Yeah. Or you can text that number too, right, Erin?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
So even if you don't want to bring anyone else into your journey yet, feel free to reach out directly.
And they're
text.
available 24/7. I think that's important to really throw out there. They're available 24/7. So if you're struggling in the middle of the night and you need to talk to somebody, call that number, please, because they're trained. It's completely free of charge.
Anonymous.
It's anonymous, and so reach out. They're there. They're there to help.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you guys so much.
I loved it.
Yes, I've loved every second of this.
Well,
I hope to plug for myself maybe to come back another time in the future.
Hells
love
yes.
that. We would love that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we love you guys so much, and please do not get mad.
Get sassy.
Love you. Bye. This episode was sponsored, edited, and produced by Wonderboy Media. Get the deets at WBOYmedia.com to see how you can make your podcast dreams a reality.
Help us out and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to our audio project. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at, of course, A Couple of Sassholes.
Want more sass? Become a member of our Patreon for bonus content, merch, and more. Plus, we're on Cameo now, so there's even more ways to get the sass you need just how you like it. As always, don't get mad.
Get sassy.
Theodore, can I pet that dog?